Hey, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. Nice to see you. Glad you could make it last minute to this session. Been getting some great questions, and I thought this would be a really nice opportunity to follow up on Friday and answer any questions all together. Torag, I like your background. All right, everybody. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming. I'm going to get started right away because I know there's probably going to be a lot of questions and discussion. So what I want to ask you to do is to start to put anything into the chat that you want me to address. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to go through some of the stuff that's been coming up, and I just want to make sure that things are shared up front. So first of all, I've had a bunch of questions about like sort of exactly how authentic visibility works, and especially about how there's support through the program. So to go back through the basics, hang on a second here, I gotta pause my Slack. There we go. So to go back through the basics, authentic visibility is a course with a community and coaching support. So it's not just something that lands in your box and you don't do it. It's like there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a very vibrant community around it. But at its core, like there is a curriculum, which is 8 modules long, and it goes all the way from just setting your expectations right at the beginning. And especially we focus on making sure that we're aligning your work with your values and with your personal guardrails. I'm going to share the course here so you can see what it looks like. So we run the course inside Mighty Networks, which is a network. It's a platform that's designed around community. It's designed around, frequently it's focused on memberships. We have sort of an equal weight between our membership community, which is the Autonomous Creative Collective, and the courses which are hosted within it. So if you think about it, it's sort of like having like a fair or something where there's like booths inside the fair, right? So you could do like an individual, like our tent inside the fair. There's like an individual thing you can do, which is your course, but then there's also the overall community of everybody who's there, which includes people who are also in a creative focus workshop and also includes people in the Autonomous Creative Incubator. So both of those things are hosted here in course form as well as some groups. I have a coaching group we're running right now, that kind of thing. So inside there, when you open up Authentic Visibility, you can see there's an activity feed, that's discussions. You can find all the members here, you can find events, I'll look at that in a second. And then you can find the course material. And when you use these little arrows to pop it out, you get a full view with like a sort of curriculum along the side. And as you do these things, I'm logged in as a teacher, so it's a little bit different for me, but you can check them off and you see sort of blue check marks as you go down and keeps track of your progress. All of the lessons have an audio that you can play within it. There's a podcast feed of all of the lessons. So a lot of this stuff, it takes kind of a few repetitions to understand it and to really get it into your head. And so you can like play it while you're, doing the dishes or in the car or whatever, take it with you. And we have a separate podcast feed also for coaching calls. So if you come live to a coaching call, you can replay that part or, everything else. You can also go back. You can see here, there's a feed of, dozens of coaching calls that you can go back to and probably find, and people do this sometimes, they'll just like go through the entire feed and get tons of great stuff out of what's been done in the past. So we start with really setting your guardrails in place. So we start with safety and defining your limits, like what your personal guardrails are, which is, I think, really relevant for people who came here through Sideline Social, really thinking about like who, what are you willing to share? Where are you willing to share that? We talk about script rewrites to help make this feel less of like creatives can feel kind of embattled sometimes by needing to share their work. And so this is a really kind of a beautiful, like the comments feed around this. And I can't show this to you because of privacy, because until you're a member and, you know, agree to the terms, I can't. But basically, if you go down here and we talk about, for example, marketing is sleazy. Well, marketing is communication. So if you do it sleazily, it's sleazy. If you don't do it sleazily, it's not. And I know you wouldn't. So, you know, we don't need to worry about that part. Too introverted. I can make something designed around my style. You know, this also goes for people who have various kinds of neurological differences. You know, you need to work with what you have and design something that works for you. So we want to start there. We want to start rooted in who you are and what's important to you. So we do these reframes. And again, I'm not going to scroll down to show you it all, but I want to show you that it exists. That basically at the bottom here, there's a really robust comment thread where people have shared their own rewrites and their own kind of resets that have been really, really useful. So that's the value, the reason there are better course platforms for sure. I mean, Mighty Networks has some limitations as far as that, because it really starts as a community platform, not as a course platform. But I choose to keep everything here, first of all, so everything's in one place and you can relate things to each other. And second of all, because of that commenting feature. There's like an incredibly robust conversation that goes back to the beginning of this course in the comments. And in some sense, I think that that's even more valuable than the actual stuff I've written, or, you know, certainly the two things play together in a way that's absolutely essential. So then we go through the essentials of marketing. What is marketing? How does it work? We talk about this idea of ecosystem marketing, and this is going to be something that is, oops, I didn't mean to edit that. That is something that's going to resonate with you if you went to Sideline Social, like the attract, connect, convert idea, but also these different modes. So for example, the engage mode is something I mentioned a few times on Friday. The engage mode is basically relationships. It's your bacons of one. And that, you know, for those of you who were not at Sideline Social, what I'm talking about is this idea of like having a direct conversation with somebody about your work and what your work can offer to them is like the basis of everything else. Once you have those conversations one-to-one, you can build on those and have larger conversations with more people at the same time. Anyway, we go through there, we talk about your work is what we're focusing on in the Authentic Visibility Summer School Marketing Clinic, messaging clinic, which starts tomorrow. So if you're considering joining, I recommend you join before 2 o'clock tomorrow, because that's when we're having our first session of summer school, which is the XY story formula, which I'll show you in a second. This is where we really define the words. What are the words you're going to use that are going to be authentic to you and feel awesome for you to share, but also will resonate with other people. So they don't just give you that kind of like blank stare that can happen and be so depressing when people, you know, you try to tell people what you're doing. So that's the talk about your work. Figure out your audience is pinpointing specific people to talk to and how to reach out to them, how to identify them. I'm actually going to be adding a lesson in here in the next couple of weeks regarding doing interviewing and using a framework called Jobs to be Done. So I'm going to add that in here as an additional resource. Grow your visibility is where we start talking about the engage, the early part, the attract, the early part of the funnel or the sequence of events that happens where people get to know you. How do you get outside your bubble? And especially how do you get outside your bubble the way you want to get outside your bubble and not being forced into trying to dance on camera or something like that. So that's what this is about. Then you have Gather Your Tribe, which is focused on the engage part of the of that sequence, where it's the middle of the process where people are getting to know you better, getting your work better, getting to know your work better. And then finally sales. How do you actually make the ask? What are the words you can use? How can you set up a sales campaign that will be really functional and help you? And then we have create a plan. So in create a plan, we do this thing, we have this cool dashboard in Notion. If you like Notion, you can just duplicate this. We also have it in Google Docs, but basically in here, you are gathering all of your work in one place. And you duplicate this, make this your own, you put your own pictures up here, your own name up here. And then you have kind of one go-to place, and you can use this calendar to schedule things for yourself, schedule tasks for yourself, schedule reminders about various kinds of pieces that you want to create, or networking efforts or anything like that. You know, we also have that. We have a different version of that in, yeah, so which sort of committing which days. So this part of this worksheet, this is for module 8 when we're creating a plan, is about identifying what the actions are you're going to take on a regular basis, like on a weekly basis. And then when are you going to do those things? And then how to put those into your calendar. And then there's also a separate approach for this, which is like, if you're going to do a campaign, like for example, you are releasing a set of a group of paintings or something like that. How do you do, or like you have a show coming up, how do you do a campaign to get people to that and get excited about that in a short period of time? That's a separate plan that's sort of takes the place of this one when you're doing that. Okay, so I wanted to touch on a couple different things. I don't see any questions coming in. I just want to remind you, if you have questions about your specific situation, I am here to answer, but I need to get them in the chat. So get those things in the chat about what's going on with authentic visibility. Does it work for you? Does it address your questions? Anything that you have from Sideline Social, if you were at that workshop that you didn't get answered, happy to address that now. What I find is when we do these group sessions, this is one reason I love group coaching so much. And this is really me talking all this amount is not similar, but this format is similar to what we do for group coaching inside AV. Doing group coaching like this does two things that I think are really important. Number one, it helps people feel seen, basically. So if you ask a question that other people also resonate with and they go, oh, I have that question too, they feel like there's nothing weird about me. And so that can help people sort of release any sense of shame or resistance around asking and getting answers to those questions. So that's number one. Number two is you might not have thought of that question yet and somebody else has it. And then you're like, oh, now I have this new idea. I really love the dynamic of group coaching. So to get back to this first thing I was talking about, like, what is the format here? So this is all asynchronous. All the commenting is asynchronous, meaning not in the moment, right? You can join anytime. And in fact, Authentic Visibility is open all year round. It's just these discounts and the summer school are not all year round, right? So that's the reason you might want to join right now and not at some other time. But those comments, those comment threads, some of those things go back to 18 months. They're still relevant. You can still answer them, and the people who are still in the community, and there are many who were there at the beginning and are still there, they may pop back in and answer you again and start a new conversation, like sort of resurface a conversation from a while ago. And it's very focused because it's in each individual lesson. Number two, we have the coaching from me. So we do this once a month. It's like this. You can pre-submit questions. If you can't make it live, I can answer live. You can go back and get the answers. You can come meet other people live, make connections. We've done things like hooking up people with accountability partners, or like finding people who work in your area and kind of, sort of off-roading that conversation into DMs, because there's also a commenting feature inside Mighty Networks. So you can see these events. These are the events that are coming up inside Authentic Visibility, specifically inside. So this is the coffee chat run by our member, Tabitha Orr, who's awesome. And she does this every week, and she's going to be supporting the summer school lessons this week, where she'll be talking about XY stuff. So these are, if you go in here, you can RSVP to it, you'll get reminders. You can also go to the calendar and see what's coming up. You can see what's going on today. But these are not the only events we have in the network, because if you go outside into the main network, you can see there's a bunch of other events, and anyone that you won't see, if you join in Authentic Visibility, you would not see a Momentum System labeled event. It just wouldn't show up in your feed. I see it because I'm logged in as me. But for example, the Refresh and Renew is every week for everybody. Open Studio is for everybody, but you need to get into this group, which is free. You just join the group and then you can see this event. General co-working, Friday ACC co-working. This is run by Lou, who's my assistant. So there's a whole bunch of different live events happening. And you can see here, I don't know if you can tell through Zoom, but there's like little dots under each day. And you can see how many events are running on each different day. And there's a lot of things going on every week. Co-working is, if you've never tried it before, it's kind of magical. Like just sitting down with other people and saying, I'm going to do this thing, and then quietly doing it, and then having somebody to talk to about it who cares that you did it is amazing. And people have made really great, really strong relationships through live co-working and through just the feed itself, through the home feed. So if you go to home here, again, I'm not going to show you a bunch of this for privacy reasons, but basically this is one of our team members, and she just posted a reminder in the feed here. If you wanted to, you could click through there, find the event, sign up for the event. You can use this commenting button to share here, or to ask questions. You can tag Ree, she'll come in and answer. And then if I scroll down here, you would see individual posts from us, but also from members that pop up. And again, things that could have been a year ago. If it's really relevant, you can comment on it and things pop back up to the top. The features here are, this is where you get alerts. So I have an alert here that reposted this reminder. This is for chats. And so in the chat, you can pop this open, and then you can have an individual or a group chat with up to 8 people. So if you want to have like an accountability group in a chat forum, you could set it up there. You can, with this button here, and also with this here, you can create your own posts, your own events, whatever it is you want to create. So it's we try to make this a very small d democratic, collaborative space. And the spirit of all of that in the ACC is incredible. Like the people of the ACC are like, I could never have designed this intentionally to have the kind of awesome people that we have. Like the people came, and I'm just really grateful. And people do stick around. So there's 6 months included with a membership to Authentic Visibility. But if you want to remain and retain access to all of the things you had access to before, you are very much invited to do so. And it's $30 a month at that point, or $300 a year. So a discount of 2 months if you join on an annual basis. Whew, okay. Oh, the one other thing I want to talk about is the XY, but I'm going to pause and answer some questions first, and then I'm going to get back to that, because I want to stop talking and see what you guys are up to. All right. So Pam says, are the dashboards available to us after the course? The dashboard, like the Authentic Visibility dashboard, this dashboard, you make a duplicate of this and you have this. All of your worksheets are available to you. You make a copy of them. They're all in Google Docs. Make a copy of them. You have your own copy elsewhere. So you retain all of that stuff. Honestly, if you wanted to go in and copy paste a bunch of stuff from the lessons into a doc and keep them, that's fine with me. The magic of the course is the ACC. It's the community, it's the coaching, it's all of the accountability, all that other stuff. I flatter myself that my course is pretty darn good, but it would not be the same thing without that context. And so I don't feel like overly protective. I mean, obviously it's copyrighted and don't share it, but like, I don't feel overly protective about like copy pasting stuff out of the course. There are rules about privacy so that you can't share other people's comments or my, copyrighted material like publicly. But you definitely can make a copy for yourself. So yes, it's a 6-month limit, but you can take what you need with you if you need to leave at that point. Although we hope you won't. We hope you will stay and become a part of the larger community, which you are, by the way, from the beginning. It's not like you're off over here and then you join. You're in it from minute one. So Emily says, how often and when are the online gatherings? So that is a very complicated question. As you saw, there are a lot of different ones. What you would do is you would pop into the events tab here and see what's coming up that works with your schedule. So depending on where you're located, when you log in with your own time zone, these will adjust. The times will adjust to your time zone. So this is in my time zone, which is East Coast US time. Summer school is tomorrow at 2 p.m. And again, you can RSVP by clicking this thing. Open Studio is a really great co-working session run by our longtime member, Michi Matthias. Again, this is inside a group. So if you wanted to be part of this is sort of working alongside each other. She does this in here. You can go in here, European time zones co-working, view group, join group, it's free. You can that just means you're interested in that. It's not commitment to anything. There's no conversation inside this group particularly, other than when are we doing stuff, guys? But this is where we set up live events. And what's important, oh, Pam's asking, what is co-working? So this is a good example. Here, Michi explains. This used to be, co-working can happen in all kinds of different ways. Co-working can be very structured, like we're going to work on this thing together. So basically you say, we're going to take 25 minutes and put on a timer. We're going to work on this thing. And then we're going to come back and have 10 minutes of discussion. Or it can literally be like, what do you guys want to do? And you can each do your own thing. We also have things like coffee chats and other kinds of encounters where the mission is to talk to each other, not to sit and work side by side. So there's usually a balance between those things, but they can lean more one way or another. And inside Authentic Visibility, we have how to do it together, DIT, do it together, how to create and facilitate group sessions, if you want to do that. So to be clear, like this is Michi's group, and Michi runs this. We have nothing to do with it. She opens it, she invites people in, and we really encourage that because it's part of, especially with visibility, part of becoming visible is being willing to kind of put yourself out there and being willing to lead groups like this. And this is something we really encourage you to do. But so she does this for 2 hours every week on Thursdays. And she has an open discussion where you can find out what other people are working on. You can get feedback from them on what you're doing. This is the leave mics on in order to keep the energy going. Should they prefer that? Other ones are going to be much more structured. For example, hang on just 1 second here. Yeah, I can't answer this right now. Back to network. We have another one that's a weekly meetup in the US time zones, I believe in here, which again, you can just join this and it doesn't clog up your feed or anything like that. But yeah, Dorothea Daly runs these every week, very structured Skype call that they do this one on Skype where everybody sets a goal. They work on it, they set another goal, and at the end, Dorothy actually posts sort of what everybody's goal is so that there's some group accountability as well. So Pam, I hope that answers that question. Emily says, how big is the community and are there non-native, non-English speakers? Emily, I don't know what your native language is. I think we talked about this, it's Dutch. There are definitely non-native speakers. One of our team members is Anaël Verdier, and he is French, a native French speaker. We have quite a number of people who are speak German. I'm not sure if we have any Dutch speakers right now. We have at least a couple people in Norway, Norwegian, and northern countries. We have a lot of Europeans in the group. Definitely Spanish speakers, Italian, sometimes Portuguese. It changes. Yeah. So Eveline, if you have if you wanted to communicate with other people in French, we definitely have several French speakers. I think the more important underlying question is it a welcoming community for people who aren't speaking English? And I can't speak to that because I speak English, but my impression is from people who are in the group is that it is very welcoming and accepting. It is just a very flexible and accepting group overall. It's not a group that's judgy or exclusionary in any way. We really, really do not put up with shame or trying to put kind of rules and limits on people in that kind of way. Frankly, I never have to enforce that because it never comes up. but I would instantly if that were the case. So I hope that helps there. Again, if there are any other questions, please make sure you get them in the chat. And I just wanted to then talk about what we're going to do tomorrow in the XY lesson. So in the XY lesson, we're going to talk about the XY formula. And I can see that a lot of people who are here today were at Sideline Social. This is a great next step from there, because basically you take your X, which is closely related to, this is closely related to your value proposition. It's not quite the same thing. What it adds is a layer of differentiation that is in a value proposition, but is not the core. It's not the only thing in a value proposition. And it gives you a hook or multiple hooks for communicating with people and helping them understand why is something important or interesting to them. So we're going to go through an actual activity in this tomorrow. So it's a little bit different. Normally tomorrow would be our open coaching session, and I certainly will answer any questions that come up. But my main mission is to do this. And so I'll be talking about how this works, working through an actual activity, and then getting some feedback on that, having a chance for people to share with each other and share with me, share questions, and do a little breakout co-working session where people get to test it out on a couple other people. So that's tomorrow. And then after that, we're going to be doing elevator intro, and we're going to be doing also a content generator. Those are the 3 pieces of the messaging clinic for the summer. I'm going to stop sharing. Happy to share again if we need to. Anybody else have any further questions? Again, this doesn't have to be, I'm happy to answer questions, obviously, about authentic visibility, but if you have questions that are specifically about what you're struggling with right now, just like literally coaching questions, how do I handle XYZ? I'm happy to address those as well. Okay, all right. We can also unmute if that's appealing to anybody. If anybody wants to unmute and speak, that's also fine. All right, so I think that's great. I'm really glad you guys came to this. I need to make sure I remind you of the link, and we've had a few people forgetting the code, the discount code, because if you went to Sideline Social, I'll get back to that in a second, Evelyn. If you went to Sideline Social, you were eligible to use a discount code for the amount of your tuition, in addition to the $100 off that's going on right now this weekend. So again, the Sideline Social, let's see, the link to the sales page is here. That's where you can get access to purchase the course, the program, and then this is the code. In that code, sometimes we made a mistake at one point and shared it as Sideline Social 22. They both work, don't worry. 22, 2022, same thing, works the same way. So what's going on right now in terms of the access to the course is that we are offering this $100 off plus the $29 off of the Sideline Social tuition we extended through Wednesday so that we could do this event. And that includes everything I just showed you, including the messaging clinic, the summer messaging clinic. If you can't make stuff live, it's always recorded and posted and in our podcast feed. So we're trying to make it as accessible as possible in that way. All right, Evelyn says, I foresee chaotic months coming times. When is the next enrollment with bonus and discounts in summer or winter school? I don't know if we're going to do another summer school thing. This will be recorded and it will be there, in the feed, but we don't have a plan for another thing. We're considering doing an email clinic in the late fall, how to do email systems, like the tech end of it, as well as what to write, how to think through the purpose of an email marketing system. We're considering that. We're not committed to it yet, but that is something that we may do. And I'm not sure when we're going to be, I'm not sure when we're going to be opening enrollment in this way again. We don't have a commitment for it. So we will do it at some point, probably, but we don't have it on the schedule. Sorry about that. Okay, Pam, how long are the coaching sessions? Oh, and the other thing I want to say, Evelyn, is if you are interested in joining now in this way, just keep in mind that even if you have chaotic months, you can dip out and come back and it's fine. You could come in for just the things that are relevant to you, and you can, come back into the curriculum, and you can, of course, continue with your membership as long as you want to or need to, if you want to run through the material again. Yeah, Emily, same thing. If you miss 3 weeks because of summer vacation, then you miss 3 weeks, you come back. There's not, it's an asynchronous course. So you just hit pause, go on vacation, clear your mind, come back with a fresh slate and jump back into it at that point. And again, end of 6 months, we're not kicking you out. We're just offering you the option to either continue on as an alum at this $30 a month rate or not. If you're finished and you're done, I would say something like, I want to say 60% of people continue on because they find enough value in the programming, because there's not only programming inside Authentic Visibility, there's also general programming for the entire community. Yeah, so Pam asked, how long are coaching sessions? Typically they're an hour. Occasionally I run over a tiny bit because there's like a great question and we're not done yet. But usually they're an hour, sometimes a tad less if we don't have enough questions for that day. Yeah, and we're not doing it here because you guys are all new to me and to this and everything, but frequently we'll just the person who's asking the question, if they're there live, which they're not always, sometimes I'm recording an answer for somebody, they'll unmute and we'll just talk about it. So it's a live coaching exchange, not necessarily all through chat and trying to get anything into the words really quickly. So we just kind of do it more ad hoc that way, and we can have anywhere from, we have 16 people here live right now. So anywhere from that kind of number, we could have last time, because it's summer, we had 4 people on the call and I did a laser coaching on a very specific topic that was sort of an advanced topic because the 4 of them had come to coaching calls before and I could do it. And it was great. It was I was able to go to each individual person and get them to come up with an answer for this, this topic. Emily, Sideline Social is a workshop that we offered on, I offered live last Friday. That's about how to think through sharing your work broadly, getting a lot of new people into your world, but without focusing on social media. Not that you can't use it, but it wouldn't be the focus. Sideline Social, I should have mentioned this, the replays of that are going into Authentic Visibility. So if you didn't sign up for it, you get access to the replays. We haven't posted them yet, but it'll be probably the end of the week. They will be an additional bonus inside Authentic Visibility. So if you missed it, or the course replays, they expire, after this weekend, you can have ongoing access to that material inside the course. Including the worksheets. So the stuff I talked about with value prop and all that other stuff, that's all in there. It would all make sense to you once you got access to that stuff. Okay, Winnie. I was in Sideline Social, having created content along the visibility spectrum all the way to hosting workshops. I have a tiny list. What am I missing? Do I need to keep encouraging people to sign up? Well, Winnie, we always need to keep encouraging people to sign up because we always need to be, people will cycle in and out of I think I said in the workshop live, I showed it a screen grab of my email system from this week or from last week. And you could see peaks and valleys of people leaving the list and people joining. And every time I send out an email, people leave my list just because it pops up in their box and they're like, I'm done with that, unsubscribe. I just don't need that anymore. That's not relevant to me right now. And I've done that too. People I love, and like for some period of time, they were really amazing and valuable to me and exactly what I needed. At some point, I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of finished with this now. And I just unsubscribe. It's not hostile. I'm not angry. I just am done. And so knowing that that's going to happen with people in your world, they're going to cycle in like, oh my God, it's amazing. And then like probably hang out for a while. And at some point they're like, okay, I got what I needed here. I just need to, reduce the clutter in my box. And so I'm going to keep going. And that is completely fine. And so we always need to be thinking about continuing to reach new people. Depending on what you do, that could be just a few new people, or it could be lots of new people. So, if you are offering a service that's expensive and you only need a couple people a month or something like that, you can have a very small marketing system for that. Something very, very simple. If you are trying to sell mass numbers of courses or something, you're going to need many more people. And so that's going to entail a different approach to the marketing that you're doing. So I'm really glad to hear that you are working all the way along the spectrum. And I was actually talking to somebody else who actually just joined the program this morning about the visibility spectrum. And she's like, well, I think I'm going to keep going. I'm here, but I think I'm going to keep going back to these other stages. And I realized when she talked about it is like, the spectrum is not so much you leave here and you go here as it is all of the phases that are sort of less advanced are like still inside the higher level ones. Like you're still going to be having one-to-one conversations with people, even when you're leading, mass events and all kinds of strangers are finding out about you and whatever, right? So like all of those things kind of like they all build up as like a pyramid more than like a thing where you exit one place and enter another place. So what I would say is if you're finding that you are not, you're saying you're creating content along the visibility spectrum. And what I would recommend is looking at how and when are you asking people to take action with you, as opposed to just creating content and hoping that people kind of get the message and figure it out. Like, how are you actively reaching out to people to try to get them involved in your world? And if that's something you're not doing a lot of, I would start right at the beginning with your Bacons of One, your Kevin Bacon one-to-one connections, friends and family, and colleagues and former clients and customers, like the people who you've had direct contact with, and talk to them directly and ask them either, offer them something new if you're doing something that they haven't, encountered before, or ask them to connect you with other people. And so use that to kind of move your way up the scale and really think about that relationship piece. As much as or more than creating content. Creating content can really be a distraction. It can take an enormous amount of time and energy, and is often like if you're doing that and not doing the other part, it doesn't work. You have to have both. And if you're going to choose one, choose relationships. That's what I would say. All right. Do you have anything else for me today? I would love to hear it. Okay. Yeah, great. Really glad to see you guys here. I would love to work with you in authentic visibility. I think the fact that you're showing up here and participating in this forum means that you're serious about this and you care. And I hope you will check it out. So remember that the discounts expire tomorrow. So get in by the end of tomorrow for sure. And remember also that if you are interested in the messaging clinic starting tomorrow, it's at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So like an hour later than now, wherever you are. It will be recorded, but if you want to come live, make sure you are in before that. Yeah, so Evelyn, time and date of live coaching sessions. The live coaching session that I run in the program is typically the third Wednesday of the month at 2 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, it can, there can be other events. There are other events at other times. but that is the tip. That's like the one sort of normal one. So that's what I'm doing tomorrow. It's the third Wednesday of the month. All right. Okay, great, everybody. Thank you. Bye.